All right. Hey, everybody. This is Stephanie, the hands, hair, and heart of Cornerstone Create. Thanks for being here with me today. So, this year, my theme for Christmas is Christmas at the beach, and I live really close to a beach. This theme is like a real thing for me. So, I want to start off with my first Christmas theme project for the year, which is going to be this Merry Christmas card. My card is going to feature a lot of heat embossing, so I'm using this detailed copper heat embossing powder from Recollections that I bought from Michaels. I'm also going to be using this Mele Kalikimaka Christmas stamp with it features a bow and a wreath made of seashells. That's perfect. This was one of the first things that I got from Simon Says Stamp. I was perusing through their inventory, and I saw this and I knew that I had to have it. I mean, the shells, the bow is perfect for Christmas. And the phrase Mele Kalikimaka is actually how you would say Merry Christmas in Hawaiian. Now, from my understanding, there was actually no way to actually say Merry Christmas. So this doesn't, this was one of those things where they came up with something that sounded like Merry Christmas based off of how it sounded in English, and then someone somewhere decided this is how we're going to say it in Hawaiian. So this phrase, I guess the phrase was made up out of syllables, and then it got a meaning, and not that there was an actual way to say Merry Christmas. So that's a little bit of interesting back history to where this phrase comes from. So I cut a piece of white cardstock down to 5.5 and 4.25 to get this wreath down. Then I used my static tool to pat that paper down and get as much static as I could off of that paper. This stamp is very detailed, and this step should not be skipped. Otherwise, you'll have stray bits of embossing everywhere, and it's going to make the rest of the stamp look horrible. And this is too beautiful of a stamp to do that to it. So yes, please pat it down. Next, I'm going to ink this stamp up really well with Versamark. Again, I don't want to have to stamp this twice. Like, if I stamp this twice, I know I'm not going to stamp it correctly, and it's going to mess up the lines, and I'm going to have to cut a brand new piece of paper and start over, and I'm not trying to do that. So I stamped this really well, tried to make sure that I got everything, and you really can't do this too many times. I mean, an ounce of prevention is better than a pound of cure. So yeah, let's do that. Now I'm going to pour on the heat embossing powder, and then I'm going to hit this with my heat gun. You see how beautiful this winds up turning out to be? Like, I love watching heat embossing powder melt. Like, this is beautiful, especially in this copper color. Yeah, that's great, guys. And that bow really sticks out. Now for the rest of the card. I'm going to break out my Monthly Hero Arts Kit for July 2018. It was the Sand and Sea set, which is going to be perfect for a lot of my holiday stamping just because it has all the beach themes, the clouds, the starfish. I think there might be a little anchor up there as well, but I'm not sure. And then just the wonderful different variants of blue that they gave you with that kit. The only thing about this kit was that it was a layering set, and layering is like the bane of my existence. But this set does make it easy on you in the fact that it's an ocean, and you can't not line an ocean up right. I mean, there's really no wrong way to do it. Anything that you do is going to look like beach waves. So I'm going to start my base layer off with Soft Sky. I didn't get the best and most even coverage, but that's going to be okay because the other layers of my stamp are going to cover that up, and that Soft Sky is really just going to be fill-in color. Now, I will say that I should have moved my magnet the first time that I stamped this because I wound up not being able to kind of make that look better, and that spot came from having the magnet and not being able to press the stamp down. So don't make that same mistake. For my next layer, I'm going to come in with Summer Sky. Summer Sky is a little bit darker than Soft Sky, and you can tell by the names that that's kind of what you're expecting. But this second layer is just going to be like kind of the ripples and the waves. So you just imagine what you see in the ocean when you actually see the sea. And that's kind of what this is. We had the base layer, which you can imagine is the water. And then we have this next layer, which is going to be kind of all the waves. And then the layer after that, I mean, I guess depending on how you did it, it could have been the shine, but that's not exactly what I'm going to do. So I spent a lot of time trying to line this up, and I didn't realize that the humpy bumpy part right there was the shoreline and that it's not supposed to 100% match up. But the one frustrating part here was that I still had that bump where the ink didn't transfer too well at the bottom. And I really don't know why at this point because I've moved the magnet. I'm not sure if maybe there's just a spot on my acrylic block that's not making contact or what, but I'm trying to pay extra special attention, and I just never got that one white spot to move. So I'm going to be looking for options to like clear that up, because obviously me trying to stamp this a second time, it just did not work. So I'm going to use a little bit of ink blending to kind of smooth out these rough edges, but you'll see that in a couple minutes. Next, I'm going to do the third layer, which at this point I realized that that bumpy part was actually the shoreline and that the straight part was the horizon line. So I didn't want to re-stamp this, and this layer stamp is like so open for interpretation that all I do is I take the third part that has the horizon line and I just stamp it up top. Like, it winds up being great. Like, you can't even tell. So now I'm gonna ink this up with Deep Ocean, and it winds up being great. It fixes a lot of that shoreline for me, and then it really does look like a horizon, and I could put a boat out there, a little mermaid, or anything else that came from that kit. So earlier I said that I kind of didn't like the way that my ocean came out. I felt that some places were really splotchy, and I definitely had that one white spot that I just could not get to go away. This is where I take some of my Soft Sky Hero Arts ink and I blend it out, and it made my ocean look that much more better. It was a beautiful waving sea after that. I have my sea now, but what's a beautiful sea without wonderful rolling clouds? So now I'm going to break out my Pink and Main cloud stencil, and I love this stencil. This stencil has 4 different sides with 4 different kind of modes of clouds, I guess. So I'm just going to rotate, ink blend, and I'm doing this mostly with just, I think the soft sky or either the summer sky. Nope, this is soft sky. So, and that's all one color. Just go on very lightly and blend out, and you'll get beautiful clouds on top of your ocean. I'm using my magnet to kind of hold my stencil in place, but even with just my hand pressure, that'd be enough to keep this stencil down so that I could do my ink blending. I would suggest that, if you didn't want to do this with blue, try gray. And gray would be a nice alternative to blue, or just any other color like pink clouds, purple clouds, green clouds. That could look neat. Just try and experiment around with different colors. Next, I'm going to make my card base. So what I did was I took my 110-pound blue cardstock that I got from Recollections, and I just scored it down the middle and then cut it in half the opposite way so that I made 2 card blanks instead of just one. A little bit of behind the scenes, I recently found my EK Success Tools little knife that goes with this scoreboard. For the longest time it had gone missing, and I had just been using my We Are Memory Keepers score tool. So it turns out that this was actually in the bottom of the pack and play underneath the little mat. I guess one of my kids took it off my desk, threw it in the crib, and like kept rolling, and here I am months later just now finding it for the first time. So I'm going to put this in its rightful place, which is in that little slot, and like you let that be that and try not to lose it again. So now that I have my little card bases cut out, I'm going to use my bone folder and crease the line that I made earlier, so that way my card will be nice and folded and it'll kind of semi-stay flat. Now I'm going to break out my Tombow and I'm going to start piecing my parts together. So off camera, I went ahead and die cut both my C and my bow from earlier using my Pink and Main stitched rectangle dies. I use set 1, but I've heard and I've seen on Pink and Main's website that they have set 2. So I'm going to go check those out, and I think Pink and Main is having a Black Friday sale still, and I might have to go buy those. Just take my money, Pink and Main. But anyway, I was really sad to cut down my bow wreath thing. Like, that made me super sad. It was so beautiful, but craft winds change and I gotta go with them. So now I'm gonna stamp down my Merry Christmas, and this came from the Celebrate Everyday set from Hero Arts. And I'm glad that I had it because I didn't think that I was gonna have a nice font that kind of went with this whole card, and that Merry Christmas from that set was perfect. But I guess like a line of something was in my ink pad and it got on to my Merry Christmas. So my H is a little messed up, but I'm gonna ride with it. So then I'm going to use my Seashell Nuvo drops, and I'm just gonna put a couple of random drops in different places, and I'm gonna call that a day for this card. All right, thank you for being here with me today. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And after you get finished doing all of that, go on over to my blog where I'll be having all my other Christmas at the beach themed things. Thank you for being here. You have a great day. Make sure you hit me back up next week where I'll be making another card. All right, bye guys.